So you guys like totally sick about hearing about contests yet, or what? There's been quite a few, so. Well, thanks for the intro, very generous. So there's many ways you can run contests, and hopefully I can give you some ideas and ways you can do it in your own business, whether you use our app or not. It's up to you, but of course I'd love to see you on our app. So first of all, let's just talk about why contests. I'm sure it's been drilled into your head now over the last 48 hours, but it's essentially just a really powerful way to get leads and likes. And I say that specifically because not every contest focuses on leads. And so we'll talk about that in a minute, because I think that's a common misconception on why you run a contest. It turns users into brand ambassadors because it actually gives them a reason to go out and tell their friends about why they love you. It gives them a remembrance of why your service is awesome, why your product is awesome. And if you do your prize correctly, it turns them all into evangelists for what you're doing. It's also a fun way to reward your users and find new ones. When people enter the contest, usually it's for a chance to win something that you're offering within your product suite that either they've had before or they've wanted, just haven't been able to pull the trigger on. And it's a way to essentially run a marketing campaign without having to be salesy, because you're rewarding your existing users and rewarding them again when they share the good word, right, about what you're doing. And as we talked about through almost every person who's been up here, is it greatly increases your campaign efficiency because of the virality of the share page, right? If you can get a 20% or 30% bump on the people that are coming through your campaign, that's 20 to 30% less you're having to spend for every lead that comes through your campaign. So it just really changes the game in terms of efficiency. And there's really high tolerances. How many of you get sick of being marketed to from even brands you love sometimes? You just get sick of them saying, please buy this new thing here, buy. By doing a contest, it serves your business purposes without tiring the user, because it can be fun, it can be creative, and it can actually vary from contest to contest. So, okay, great, you're on board with contests, maybe, but why should you listen to me? My name's Travis, I live in beautiful Seattle, and yes, that's a couple beer bottles on the roof, because that's how you should do it. I started Contest Domination about a year ago, and it started as just like the simple WordPress plugin. Because I'd been doing marketing for several years. I actually started my first company when I was in high school, and it was drop shipping computers on eBay, of all things, ramped up to about 300 to 400 laptops a day, having to hack around the school filter to run the business. But so I understood the idea of it's very, very valuable to capture who your customers are, because you can sell to them again. So the idea of leads was important. I scaled that further when I was running JV programs for best-selling authors and speakers, spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on user acquisition, right? So understanding the math behind what a lead is worth was very important. And when I decided I was tired of doing it for other people and wanted to do it for myself, on my blog, there was this is a little over a year ago, there wasn't any good option for running a contest with the sole purpose of capturing leads. A lot of them rewarded social actions, but nothing that actually focused on leads. So I hired a developer, a couple $1,000s out of pocket, and launched this plugin, had no idea how well it would do. I thought if I could make my money back, that would be a win. Well, we went on to sell about 5,000 copies in the first couple months, and I was like, wow, people actually like this, awesome. And I immediately saw that, as a WordPress plugin, it was rather limited because, how many of you have a WordPress blog that has tons of plugins on it? How many of you have a WordPress blog in general? Okay. So even you who didn't raise your hand for saying you have tons of plugins, you're probably liars. No, because what we found is there were so many different versions of WordPress people might be on, not updating. There were so many other conflicts that could happen, and it was really outside of our control to give them the best contest experience we knew how. And so we took the funding and took the momentum we had and built what we have today, which is a hosted model, because we can do some pretty fantastic things in terms of mobile optimized and integration with Facebook, et cetera. So let's just talk about who are contests for, because they're not for everybody. But there's a couple key areas that I think can benefit from contests more than others. The first one is going to be business-to-consumer companies. I haven't seen any amazing business-to-business necessarily contests. That's not saying that it's impossible, but it's a much tougher prize and value proposition to make to ask a CEO of other companies to enter a contest and share his link, right, with other CEOs if that's your target demographic. That's not impossible, but it's a lot more difficult. Business to consumer is certainly more friendly for this, especially with the social referral aspect, because you and I might not mind sharing something on Facebook, but it's doubtful Larry Page or Sergey Brin from Google are going to be doing that, right? But that being said, this is still useful for all size businesses. I've seen small, brick and mortars benefit from running a contest. Some of them, it's the first several hundred people they've ever had on an email list by running a contest at a farmer's market even, like getting them to sign up via an iPad. But obviously up to Fortune 500, Fortune 100, you see the big brands running contests as well because of the engagement that they get out of their users and just, rewarding them for being loyal customers. So all sizes can actually benefit. There's a lot of businesses out there that can benefit from contests when you add more to it. So a lot of times when you have that initial relationship with your customer, you may not have all the information that could be pertinent for what you do. For instance, let's say you have tons and tons of likes on your page, but you don't know necessarily like the specific zip codes, or maybe you want to start some SMS marketing. These are great ways to add extra variables to your contest so that you can then reach your customers in new, unique ways or tailor your marketing campaign to them. And a contest is a great way to get that information out of them. So if your lead source could benefit from having more information about your customer, a contest is likely going to help you out. At the end of the day, it's just basically anyone who can benefit from more leads. One of the most common misconceptions that I've kind of felt in the room today, just from various conversations, and it's not hard on anyone. I had the same mistake kind of when I was getting going was, we approach social media with, I want to get more customers, I want to get more business, right? And we have this kind of false sense of more likes on our Facebook page is just going to translate to, well, everyone knows about us now, they're going to buy from us. And unfortunately, that's not the truth. The truth is people buy things, not likes. And people only buy things when they can actually communicate with you. And the best way to communicate is still email, right? I mean, how many Facebook status messages do you get a day? Hundreds? Thousands? How many emails does even the most busy person in the world get, right? Maybe 100? 150 at most? Most of you, it's probably even less. What channel would you like to fight with for noise to get into the minds and ears of your customers? It's email. So that's how you build that good relationship. And so because of that, I think offline businesses actually have the largest opportunity here because their customers aren't necessarily used to being marketed in this way. So why would you run a contest? Like we said, it's about the lead, right? It's not just a cliche. The money is in the list. You run an event, you sell a product, you do a service. Having the ability to manage a large-scale list of leads is still the best reason to manage your business online. The second, it's a great incentive to offer up real information. If you win, you want to know you won, right? They want to be able to contact you, let you know that you won that awesome trip to Cabo, like my girlfriend did last year. That was awesome. Put in a fake phone number or fake email address. You don't know if you win. So it's a great way to get valid information out of your customers. And like we talked about earlier, it has extremely high engagement tolerances because it's actually fun to do. It's a marketing campaign they can participate in. They can get their friends to be a part of, and they get rewarded for doing so. They actually love entering contests. The other nice part, too, is it allows your users to do your selling for you. No one likes to be that guy at the party that says, hey, have you heard about my insurance? Hey, have you heard about what I'm doing? Right? It's really amazing. And there's actually a lot of data that shows that consumers generally don't trust what's coming out of the mouths of the business owner. In fact, they don't care. I mean, beyond testimonials, they just don't trust CEOs. And so what they want to hear is they want to hear from your customers. And when you do your prize, if your prize is aligned and you run a good contest, you're actually borrowing the credibility of your customers because they're the ones selling their friends on why you're so amazing. It's not actually you. So when should you run a contest? It's really important to understand that contests are an active campaign, right? You need to have some kind of oversight about how long is it going to run, right? It's not an evergreen type thing. There's a start, there's a definite end, and there's different kind of communication you need to extend to your customers at the beginning of a contest that's different than the communication at the end. The other, kind of some examples here. We have a lot of small businesses that are on our platform that have decided that quarterly contests are a good way for them to adequately prepare, get their prizes together, promote the offer, and then do some follow-up. So once a quarter, so that gives them about a month or two on either end of their contest to actually adequately prepare and do some follow-up. Larger teams, sometimes like radio, like to run concurrent contests, right? So they might run a contest that's specific to SMS. They might run a contest that's specific to email. And they benefit from this mostly because they not only have the team size to support running that kind of campaign, but they also have sponsors willing to give them the prizes that are relevant to what they're doing. I think a lot of people, when they think contest, they think, I'll do a Christmas contest because I'm giving back to my users. But the reality is we all like to get something back from the businesses that we interact with all year round, right? It's not just a Christmas time. But it's also a great way to generate buzz before a launch. How many of you have launched a product before in this room? A couple? There's always like a contest for who can send the most traffic, who can drive the most sales, who wants to be a part of the pre-launch video. Contests are a good tool to get that virality immediately if you put a lot of effort into your campaign. So let's just talk about how it works. I know Matt talked about, when he saw it on John Chow's page, which John Chow actually got several thousand new likes inside of a week. But of course, that's John Chow, right? As his shirt would always tell you. So essentially, the way it works is you offer a great prize people can win. They give you their real name and email. You give them an easy, shareable link to earn more entries only when that traffic turns into opt-ins. You don't give them points just for the act of sharing. Previously, there was a lot of platforms out there that would allow you to essentially give an endless number of social actions that people could take to enter your contest. And when we approached this, we said, well, that might not be the best way to do it, because the people who have the time to do 17 different things across Pinterest and Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn and in a lot of cases probably aren't your ideal client. They're actually someone who has a lot of time to enter contests and not actually someone who might be a qualified lead. So we wanted to make it a simple process and only reward people for the action that helps your business, which is getting you more leads. So you run your campaign, rinse, and repeat. And I want to spend a fair amount of time on this because I think this is where a lot of people go wrong when they set up their contest, is about picking the right prize. This is really, really critical for getting the right kind of lead. You guys heard Nick talk yesterday about Frank Kern, right, giving away the van and how he got a bunch of people who loved vans, but no one who could care anything about internet marketing and did nothing for his business. It's because he got the prize wrong. There was no alignment with Frank Kern's product or services. A lot of people feel like, oh, if I give away an iPad, that's something that everyone can identify with. That's something that everyone knows is worth about $500 and that most people would want. But the problem is you get people who want an iPad with or without being qualified for your business. So when we typically work with our customers to create their prizes, we generally advise them to do at least 3 different prize levels, first, second, third place. And they may do something tangible like their product or services that have real cost, but then they may say, well, I can give coaching, but that should be towards the end. I mean, that's just my time, right? No one would really want that. They would rather have an iPad with my content, or they'd rather have the physical widget that I build. And that's a big mistake, because if you're an expert in your industry, you shouldn't devalue your time. And in fact, a lot of times, your audience craves actually reaching out and having that time with you one-on-one. So we actually tell a lot of our customers to make their grand prize personal time, something that is almost invaluable. I was talking with someone here last night about golfing. That's his niche. And he said, well, I could give away some clubs. And I said, well, that's good, but what's better than that? What can someone in your audience not even buy if there was a price tag that you might be able to negotiate as a bigger brand? Well, the idea came up of, well, what about time with a pro golfer, right? Really dial in your game, something that's personal, something that no matter how much money your customers have is invaluable. It's an experience. That's obvious. That makes a great grand prize. And then club is a second prize and something, lower down the food chain for third. So the big takeaway here is that perceived value a lot of times is actually more engaging and really fuels your campaign much more than the actual cost of the goods you're giving away. And beyond that, it actually primes your funnel for a real purchase. I'm going to give you guys an example here. How many of you heard of Mixergy.com? The interview for ambitious upstarts? In his example, he has a premium service where he charges annually for access to his previous interviews. He interviews the founder of Groupon, Gary Vaynerchuk, a lot of people that you would identify with. And by priming them, by giving away lifetime access to that, what we actually saw was that tons of people who entered the contest didn't want to wait to see if they won and instead went and purchased his actual subscription because they didn't want to wait. So let's talk about being Facebook compliant. How many of you have ever seen a brand run a contest where they say, leave a comment and we'll pick one on Tuesday that's going to win? Okay. How many of you have entered a contest that doesn't have a Facebook legal release at the bottom? Probably didn't look for it, but I'm sure there's quite a few. So being Facebook compliant is actually pretty important. Facebook has been very lax in enforcing these rules, but they are there, and at any point they could wake up tomorrow morning and decide that if you're not Facebook compliant for contests because they're picking up in popularity, they no longer like what you're doing and potentially even go as far as banning your page. So you need to make sure that you protect yourself. And if you're doing this for clients, you need to make sure that you're still Facebook compliant as well. One of the things that they require is that you use a Facebook app for contests. It shouldn't be just in a status update, et cetera. It needs to be a dedicated app for contests. Don't use comments as a form of entry. That's a huge mistake that I see people use almost every single day. Even people that should know better. Like in the States, there's a company called AppSumo. Anyone heard of AppSumo? They built their whole list. They built hundreds of thousands of emails using contests. And 2 weeks ago, I saw them run a contest that wasn't in an app. It was leave a comment. They know better. So protect yourself, because even the big people make the same mistakes. Likes shouldn't boost your entries. They can be a form of unlocking content, but they shouldn't be a form of actually entering a contest. And then, of course, give Facebook a legal release because they don't want to be associated with anything outside of their own campaigns. So here's a big discussion that people typically ask me for, and I know that Matt's had luck with this, and I personally haven't had as much luck. Maybe it's just my audience, but there's this idea of to use a light gate or not. And so I guess the main question you have to ask here is, what's your goal with your campaign? Is your goal to get social proof, or is it your goal to get an email lead? If it's social proof, then of course, no matter what the outcome, you want to turn on a light gate because your main goal is to get likes if it's social proof. But if it's not, you have to ask yourself and look at the data, does this help or hurt my results? In my experience, at least, the light gate has added friction. So I've run a couple campaigns to some client sites before that were really adamant about using a light gate. And at least in our tests, they got more likes, but they didn't get more emails. And we knew the ROI of an email lead was very clear. It was actually a pretty high number. But the ROI of a like in itself was pretty nebulous at best. So in our particular case study, the friction can lower conversion, but if you test it, someone like Matt is able to actually get better numbers sometimes. So the real key here is when you make these decisions that significantly affect the flow of your contest, you need to ask yourself what either you or your client's main goal is, and there can only be one. It's not, I want social proof and I want leads, because social proof is a nice side effect of a good lead generation program. So I told you I'd talk about Mixergy here. Andrew Warner, he's a great guy. Has a lot of great content. I really admire that he's able to get out there every single day and do over an hour-long HD interview, get a transcription from it, get it posted, continually just cranks out great content every single day. He has over 800 interviews with some of the best entrepreneurs out there. So he runs this popular interview blog, and he reached out to me and he says, I've been hearing a lot about contests, but I'm just not sure. I've got my welcome gate on my page. I'm doing all these things that are getting me leads, and I just don't think my list is going to enjoy a contest. But everyone says they got to do them, and if I have to do it, I might as well do it with you. So I was like, all right, great, Andrew, let's get you hooked up. So his main goal, above everything else, was more subscribers, because he knew if he could grow his email list, that he would also grow his subscriptions to his revenue, right, for his site, because he knew for every person that came in on his list, converted at X rate, and he made that much money out of it. He didn't really care about Facebook likes. So, of course, his main goal was to sell more subscriptions as a result of getting more leads. And it's true, his list really does hate being marketed to. They are like, don't even market. They're the kind of people that, go to Unroll and get themselves taken off every list they've ever been put on. So I was like, all right, challenge accepted. So what's the game plan here? So we were going to give away 3 lifetime subscriptions to Mixergy Premium, which he doesn't even sell anymore, but when he was selling it, were $500 a piece. Right, so we've set the benchmark on what that's worth. We were going to give 1 point for every person who entered and 10 points for every person they referred, which is the same way that we did John Chow's contest. He was going to post on his Facebook wall, on his Twitter feed, and he was going to mail it out to his existing leads. He surveyed people as they entered the contest with a follow-up email saying, why did you enter and what do you care about gaining from this contest? And what we came up from that is they just wanted to know how he was doing it. They didn't actually care necessarily that much about the prize. They just wanted to know how he was doing it and what it was doing for him. And they were going through the actions and trying to figure out what his marketing plan was. And what they wanted was a private Q&A with him and myself of how it worked and the dynamics behind it. Because they're marketers, they're entrepreneurs. They want to do the same thing themselves. They knew that even if it didn't work that well on them, so they thought, that they could be able to do the same thing for their audience, and that's what they were interested in. So this was their unique audience in need. So what happened? So, he's got a decent list, but like I said, they hate being marketed to. So the clicks were relatively average, but they weren't amazing. So we had over 5,500 people actually enter the contest, of which just over 3,700 were from non-referral leads. So that means they came from his Facebook, his Twitter, or his email list. But inside of a couple weeks, he added almost 2,000 new people to his email list that had never been on his email list before through the referrals that people were tweeting about, sharing on Facebook. And we were seeing all these posts of people that were editing the text and saying, I've been following Andrew Warner for years and I love his stuff. They would say, I've never posted about Andrew before, but I had to let you know about this because his content is that good. You have to see it. And then we could follow those leads, right? And, a bunch of new Twitter followers and Facebook likes. But we were actually able to follow those leads that came through the referrals from the people who said, I've never posted about this before, that turned into a conversion that then actually, inside of 2 weeks later, signed up for his annual subscription when they didn't win. So it was pretty phenomenal to see the people who had never heard of Andrew Warner before, inside of a couple weeks, were now premium paying members. That's kind of the ultimate goal, right? Having this broad overview of a campaign and how it works for you as a business to actually give you more sales, to actually give you more leads, things that improve your bottom line. So I realize not everyone's an Andrew Warner, right? We all start from zero at some point. So I wanted to show you this guy. His name is Anthony Veltri. He lives in Corvallis, Oregon, where the Beavers are, OSU. And he had absolutely no list. He had no marketing clout. Nobody knew who he was from anybody, okay? The exact same shoes that we've all been at some point. He wanted a local-only audience. He didn't, Andrew Warner is pretty global, but this guy wanted a local-only audience. He wanted to focus on Facebook traffic to capture and convert leads into his business. And he wanted to focus on Corvallis, where he lives, because it was large enough that there was an opportunity, but it was too small for someone like Groupon or Living Social to dedicate their sales team to. But if it's a one-man show, he thought, hey, I have an opportunity here. So what was the plan? He said, okay, I'm going to run contests for local gift cards, right, of the businesses that I hopefully want to run daily deals for. I'm going to curate their existing coupons and deals they already offer from all the various promotions they're doing in local newspapers, handouts, whatever. He would curate that, and that would be his content until he could strike the first deal. Then he planned to purchase Facebook ads to get exposure to the contest and target the ads just for Corvallis, Oregon within a 10-mile radius. So, this is some borrowed credibility on his end as well, because it's a relatively small, close-knit community who could then even go to the business and say, is this guy for real or is he trying to scam me? I mean, do you have this gift card? Did he buy it? Can you vouch for him? And they said, yeah, it's a real thing. You should go ahead and enter. It seems cool. He's a new customer to the business, right? And potential new customer here, hearing about them, seeing the gift card. And so what happened? Inside of several weeks, he generated over 2,300 new Facebook likes, curated an email list of over 2,100 people out of only 56,000, right? That's a decent percentage of the market. His list consistently now gets an average open rate of 40 to 45%. Any of you who have been in email marketing before know that that's not a bad number. It's certainly better than 16% edge rank, and it's something that he has control over. And not only the opening, but they're actually clicking through on his offers now. With almost a quarter of the people that he sends to clicking through on his new offers, because he immediately had local businesses saying, oh my God, everyone's talking about you. How do I become part of your Corvallis local deals? And so inside of several weeks, he went from absolutely nothing to basically being the dominant player of local deals, businesses begging him to take his ad space, and his customers loving it, opening it, clicking it, and buying. So I thought this was a great example of someone who literally went from nothing to essentially a local business that has a viable game plan. Another case study here. This guy, Christian Alva, he's an interesting character. He does live music event promotion, right? This is a little different spectrum. He wanted local-centric lists because he wanted to promote local shows in various areas all across the U.S., various different kinds of music, whether it's electronic dance music, hip-hop, whatever. He wanted to be the guy that people went to promote it. And he'd been kind of dabbling in this with a blog and telling his buddies about it and sharing it on Facebook and maybe buying a couple Facebook ads. But he only had about 800 people on his list before he decided to run contests. He wanted to get 2,000 new leads inside of a year. That was his goal. Pretty low, right? Set the benchmark kind of low compared to our first few people. But he thought, okay, I got a limited budget, but I think if I can do 2,000 new leads inside of a year, that'll be good because it, basically triple my list, because he had a pretty limited budget. So he decided he was going to use Facebook ads, just like Anthony before, and he was going to target based on location and likes of his current business already. He was going to follow up with leads for relevant shows, segregate them by the type of music they signed up for instance. And he's going to use one primary lead list, though, for the main area. So he asked local bands to sponsor his prizes by saying, hey, give me some extra tickets to your show. Do you have any merchandise? Things like that. So his prize budget was zero because he was giving them exposure. So let's take a look at how he did. He started using contests in April of 2012. This was just on our simple WordPress plugin before he upgraded. It took him 7 months to capture that 2,000 lead mark that he had hoped to hit in a year. But month 8 had something very, very special for him. As he finally dialed in his campaigns, he found a sold-out show in Vegas that he was able to just buy a few tickets from on StubHub, and so now he had something extremely valuable that was worth more than the face value, right? It was worth more than the $40 or $100, whatever the tickets were going for, because it was exclusive. And what happened? He did a big push with Facebook ads and got 2,100 new leads in a day. He had more leads in one day from this Vegas event than he had captured in the previous 7 months because he went for the intangibles, the invaluables, the things that money is hard to get, things that people get excited about. And now his Facebook page has over 11,000 Facebook likes, but he has roughly 7,000 people on any given week talking about his page. That's insane for someone who it's a local music event promoter. It's not like he's an artist himself. It's not people, I'm listening to Christian Alva right now. It's people talking about his business that promotes events. So this was just like incredible engagement and got a pretty massive list in a very short amount of time, especially once he dialed in getting the right prize. And I know we've talked about webinars before, so this is my last case study here. James Wedmore, who's kind of known as like the Video Traffic Academy, he does a bunch of YouTube marketing. He's actually the guy who's the brains of the videos for Lewis Howes and kind of that circle of people. He's a big webinar guy, but YouTube is his thing. So he uses webinars every week or two to engage his audience, talk about how to do marketing on YouTube, and hopefully convert them into a sale at the end, usually a soft sale. And typically his webinars have about 450 people register, right? And about 150 people actually show up to the webinar, right? Because he doesn't have the list of Lewis Howes, but it's very respectable. And he does this like day in and day out. He almost always gets the same numbers. He has a nice, tight, loyal fan base. So that means he was primed for that tight, loyal fan base to become amazing brand ambassadors. So he and I talked, and he said, okay, I think that contests, if you connect contests with webinars, you can do something interesting here. So we set up a contest page that actually doubled as a webinar page, where similar to what Nick said for his example, which was, please register for my webinar, and you'll also be entered into this contest where I'm giving away, number one, a large prize, large training prize. He was also giving away some hardware and some access to his courses, but you had to be present on the webinar to win. And as he went through the webinar, because I listened to it, he gave away the first prize right at the gate, like, hey, I'm glad you guys all are here. We're going to get started. Let's give away third place prize right off the bat. Halfway through the webinar, he says, I'm really glad you're still listening. I know a lot of you guys have purchased my products in the past. I want to give someone access right now to my next product. And then at the end of the webinar, after his pitch, he announced the winner for his $10,000 one-on-one training for several day package. And he mailed it to his existing audience. He didn't spend anything in ad budget at all. The same exact list that typically had 450 people register and about 150 people show up had some pretty interesting results. Immediately, he only promoted this for like 2 days. He immediately had almost 1,200 people register for his webinar from the same list that he'd been doing for months. He had about 600 people show up live, right? So that's what, almost a 40% improvement of people who showed up compared to who even registered the time before. And his sales conversion stayed constant. He converted at the same 20%, just like he did with all of his times before, except for now he had a lot of fresh faces. New interested leads, new likes, new follows, but more importantly, the new email list, and in this case, lots and lots of sales. So, in this particular case, it worked out quite well. So if you use webinars, it's worth considering, can I run a contest to boost my attendance rates, to boost my engagement, and to let my loyal fan base speak the good word for me? So I know a handful of you. How many of you in here do client work? That's kind of what I thought. Okay, so a lot of times your clients say, well, what's this going to do for me? Where's the ROI? I'm hiring you. What are you doing for me? Why should I run a contest? Why should I give away my stuff? People should pay me for that. That's a big mistake. But one thing you want to start right off the bat is asking them, what is your main goal, right? Because we talked about there can only be one goal. That's just the way things are. There can be one number one goal. The other thing could be a side effect. So, if that goal is social proof, then maybe you design a campaign around creating social proof. But that has to be the primary goal. If they say, I want social proof, and the campaign ends and they say, where are my email leads? Say, hey, you wanted social proof. We got you however many new likes. If they say, my main goal is email leads because the main thing I'm interested in is more business, more sales, then be very, very clear about how you're going to do that and what the difference in the campaign is going to be, and how you can translate that into actual business objectives. I'm a firm believer based on many, many campaigns. We have about 8,000 people who use our software at this point. And after taking a look at all those different campaigns, almost everyone gets a nice bump in social, even if they're focusing on leads. So to me, that's the ultimate balance of vanity and performance. We all, in this reptilian brain of ours, our ego wants a little bit more, right? We want a few more likes. We want a few more Twitter followers. Like he asked at the beginning of the conference, if you didn't know how many likes you had on your page, would you care? Right? That was a great quote. And it's really true. I mean, we care. It's a game. Everything's gamed. So if you do it right for leads and you just can put away the vanity for a minute, then it will be a nice side effect from your core business objective. So just make sure you and the client have a mutual understanding of what you're trying to accomplish. And I really can't say this enough, because how many of you have had a customer who just said, I want this and this and this, and the list keeps going on of all the things they want, and at any given moment, whatever the most important thing to them is in the campaign changes. Anyone had that? Only 2 people have had that? Okay. Be very, very clear with your clients. There can only be one goal. What is their goal? If it has anything to do with sales or leads, boom, you nailed it. If it's social proof, be like, you sure? You sure it's social proof? Because you will get some of that, but is that your main goal? Do you just want more likes? Can you take likes to the bank? I can't, can you? No. So be very, very clear about that. So what are some of the takeaways of what you can do with the contests? They're amazing for generating leads, like I keep saying. They also are amazing for social proof, even if that's not your primary goal. Our tools are set up in such a way, and a lot of other platforms are now too, go figure, to where social proof is a nice benefit. You can repeat and scale these campaigns because your users actually have fun doing them. I know, at least in my list, when I started applying it to my blog, I actually had lots of people that have emailed me after several campaigns, just like, I just wanted to let you know I love entering your contests. They're actually fun. Even if they haven't won, they just like doing it. It's the thrill of the chase, right? It's the same reason, kind of in a way, that some people gamble, right? It's fun. You can actually have fun doing it. And so because of that, they have a pretty high tolerance for how many times they're willing to be marketed to, if it's engaging and you're able to still change up what the offer is. And for me, the most amazing part is just watching people go from customers, right, which you may not know what they do or what their sphere of influence is, and watch them say nice things about you, which are not only good for your social proof, but it's just nice to know that what you're doing actually matters to your customers, and that they're willing to say things about you that they might not ever say in front of you or be on your radar had it not been in a format where it was comfortable and incentivized to do so. So if you guys have any questions, I'm gonna follow up with showing you some other stuff, but I could take some questions at this point, if anyone has any.
Can you talk about your software?
What's that?
Can you talk specifically about contest nomination?
Sure. You want to take a look at it, or? Okay. Any other questions? Rob?
Yeah, I was just going to ask, do you have a way of exporting? I think I heard earlier a different platform does exporting the data. So anybody who participated in a contest, am I able to grab them as an email address? If they're taking part in is it an app that they have to approve, and therefore the app has... Sorry, what I was just asking is basically if I'm able to export the data that the people who are taking part in the contest, so I can have a CSV, so I can grab their email address as well. Is that an option with your software or different platforms? Or
So every bit of data that we collect, you're able to export. We don't do Facebook Connect because in our particular flow, we feel that sometimes people are nervous about all the extra data it can take. We're going to offer that as an option soon. Any of that data will also be available. But the name and email for sure. And on the Pro Plus, that includes our analytics. We actually are going to be running that data into a third-party service that will scour the web and try to verify the information we have about if I put my first name and if I did Travis Contest instead of Travis Ketchum, and then put my real email, this service would be able to say, hey, his last name's not really Contest, it's actually Ketchum, and he lives in Seattle, and he's into marketing. And so if that information is available, there's third-party services that aggregate that, and so we'll be running the name and email check against that for our analytics customers.
Okay, that's what I was curious about. So that's in the plan of being developed or added in later?
We've actually already have it working and testing. It'll be out in about 2 weeks.
Okay, cool. Well, then we'll be talking later then.
Cool. Any other questions before I jump into it? Well, so I'm not here to sell. And in fact, all of you guys are getting 3 months access to Pro Plus for free. No credit card required. And so you may have seen it on the sales page, right? So for this event. So it's, I just want you guys to use it, see how you like it. But outside of that, there is cost because we actually host the page. We send thousands and thousands of transactional emails a day. So when someone, for instance, enters your contest and actually earns more earns more entries, we'll send them a notification for you saying, hey, guess what? You just earned 10 more entries, and you want to go share again so you can get a better chance of winning? Because it's obviously working. Go do it again. So things like that, and then of course, the third-party analytics. All these services that make it a great experience and give you all the data about your customers, they cost money, and all of our time aside. So that being said, we do have a free account no matter what for life. Just doesn't integrate with Aweber and MailChimp on the free level, or Infusionsoft or any of the other things we do. The Pro account allows you to do one-click installation into Facebook. You don't have to know code. I think that's probably our biggest advantage. Everything is no code. You just tell us the accounts you have. We stack it up for you. You tell us what the prize is going to be. Click, click, everything's installed and done. And then the account that you're all getting access to for 3 months includes the analytics. It also includes the GoToWebinar integration if that's part of your business. It's all pretty seamless. In fact, we have a good customer up here that.
Fantastic. It's easy to use. It's great.
So to answer his question earlier, I can show you guys a little bit if you'd like. Just go through here. This might be kind of slow.
You're not selling, it's us that are buying. It's okay.
Nope. When we approached this, we said we wanted it to be a very maybe two-step at most process, and we didn't want to ask anyone anything we wouldn't want asked of ourselves. And so essentially, if you have a name and email, which most people do, if they're a prospect, they do, then that was the flow we decided to go with. So they don't have to authorize anything. We don't send stuff without asking, like onto their, we don't post onto their Facebook wall without them asking. It's all user-driven. And we think that actually produces the best engagement because that gives them the opportunity to say something very personal about why they love you, why they love your product, why they love what you're doing. So let's go ahead and log into a demo account here.
So are you able to customize the templates then, like if you do have?
Yeah, so we on basically any account that's not the free for life one, you can do custom CSS. We're going to be adding the ability to let you do custom HTML as well. You can upload any of your own graphics, and everything is mobile responsive. So, all right, so I'll show you what we have now, but I'm also going to show you guys a preview of what's coming out in about a week. Because I showed her earlier, and we spent a lot of time on it. And so I think you'll all like what's in the pipe, and you'll all obviously get access to it, as soon as you guys get logged into your accounts. And I'll have Matt email the information for the unique place for you guys to get that. So it's a pretty simple dashboard of where your contests are. See the name, visits, leads, conversion rates, the ability to pick winners. We only pick winners that have gone through a confirmation URL, and we do that because we want you, right, to have a quality email list. And so a lot of times your email providers, such as MailChimp and Aweber, GetResponse, et cetera, allow you to set a custom URL for the double opt-in. Hopefully I'm not getting too technical for anyone. And so you can grab this special link we give you on each contest and make that your custom URL for the double opt-in. And so people can only win on the contest, like they're not even considered in our selection tool unless they've gone through that link, which they could have only gone through if they double opted into your list. So I'll go through and it's quick enough that I don't think it'll be too painful for me to just go through and set one up live. So let's just call this. So the question was, what's a good conversion rate? And our network average, and keep in mind this is with our ugly but working templates. Well, at least I don't think they're as pretty as they could be. But the network average is 45% conversion rates. Local businesses have been absolutely crushing it, with a lot of our local businesses converting on average around 70 to 75%, because there's so much human interaction, right? Because a lot of times it's, hey, you should check out my contest, and they'll pull it up on their phone, and they'll in the pub or in whatever location they're at, and the conversion rate is very high because they're talking to the waitress or the bartender or whoever is promoting contests. Like, oh, you should enter, $100 to the bar. So,
Hey Travis, you're talking about metrics on the front end for people registering. Do you have any metrics by any chance for how many of those who register, how many they typically kick off as additional referrals and so forth?
yeah, so on average, it's about 25% boost on any lead you get. So for every lead you would have gotten normally, you get basically 1.25. So it takes about 4 people to get that extra free lead. So here you can just put in a YouTube URL. Like I said, we're no code, so it's not even the embed code. Just literally go to the URL of your video on YouTube, grab it, dump it in here. Here, I can show you an example if you want. Actually, I won't because someone is tethered. Sorry, I don't want to kill his data. So you just say, example description. Then you just pick when it starts, when it ends, how many points they get after they've confirmed, how many points they get for a referral, save and continue. Then you pick, do you want the opt-in on the left side of the page? Do you want the opt-in on the right side of the page? With little examples here, what it looks like with a logo and with a video. This is someone I've had, their wife does a company called Bride to Bride, but you can just upload a logo and pick it. You can give the link of where that should go. So if someone clicked on that, you want to just go to webfriendly.ca or leave it blank for it not to be clickable. Featured image, look at that. So this is the image on the right-hand side of the page, which I'll show you in just a minute. It'll be very apparent. It's an area where, just like in a classroom, people learn many different ways. So some people will consume information by reading it. Some will interpret it by seeing something visual. Some will interpret it by hearing about it. A lot of times, for instance, like, let me show you this example.
Can you split test them at all?
You will be able to on Pro Plus next month. We're partnering with Optimizely, who's kind of the de facto standard in A/B testing. So like just here in this example, this big graphic on the right is the featured image. So that's where Matt's mug is going to be in just a minute. And so here, we're just giving away 6 months access as our demo, which is a great lead gen tool. So here you can drop in the custom CSS. Oops, I forgot to pick the template. And then we have a section called sponsors. So you can say, who the sponsor is. You are the #1 sponsor, right? Because you're running the campaign. But maybe you had some of your prizes donated, right? So you might want to add a band in there or someone else who wants the social proof. And we also use these fields to merge your custom rules. So if we just said, Matt asked a fan. It's what, Matt's Media? Just said like, and so here we have the ability to customize the sharing, for instance. So you can customize what your message is going to say when someone clicks the link to share on Twitter. As you can see, by default, it's merged in sponsor names. So if there was more than one sponsor, it'd be via @MattsMedia and, and. And then you can also customize for Facebook. Of course, it's not much to pull here, right? Because I haven't put in much of a description, but it allows you to tailor what that share message is going to look like. And so we'll actually show Facebook a different set of your description so that when someone shares it, they're not just getting whatever it pulled off the page. They're getting something you've curated to look good on Facebook. And then here, I was doing a test with MailChimp. So you just have an option here. Because I've integrated previously with MailChimp, I can pick one of the lists. So as you can see, boom, now anyone who's added to this contest is also added to that list. You could, hook it up with GoToWebinar. The promoted contest is something kind of interesting that we do. When you set up your account, you pick a category, such as design, architecture, health, fitness, etc. And what we do, if this is enabled, is anyone else who has run a contest in your niche, but the contest has ended and they can no longer accept entries, any of the remnant traffic to that page, which actually goes on kind of forever, it'll say, shucks, looks like you missed out on this contest. Here's 4 you might like. And so if you're willing to turn on promoted contests, you get some essentially free ad space in relevant traffic areas. Custom fields, which, if you want to collect a phone number, we integrate with Call Loop, who does SMS marketing. So you can manage an SMS list just like an Aweber would, but just specifically for phone numbers. And then here's the legal, That's how I feel about legal.
Can I ask you something? So how do people find out about the contest? Is it through email, through Facebook, or how does it get?
So the same way that you would have any other channel to let your audience know that you have a contest, emailing them, adding it to, adding a link from your Facebook wall or as a Facebook tab, sharing it on social, doing a blog post about it, all the same ways you could think of for normally letting your audience know. Yeah, so a lot of people use like Hello Bar, at the top, that little strip that kind of bounces and say, hey, check out our live contest, so that anywhere on the website they see a link to their contest. So this disclaimer right here is just saying we're not lawyers, because we paid a lawyer to make this, but we're still not lawyers. And so here, you get to see your links. This is that confirmation link I was telling you about for double opt-in. So you would literally just copy and paste this and go put it into your Aweber as the default double opt-in confirmation. If for some reason you didn't want to use that process, or you didn't have it integrated, or you didn't care about having that, you said, okay, let's get them in the contest, but maybe don't want to force them into the newsletter, we do have the opportunity to have us do the confirmation process for you, because we still want them confirmed, so we're not just getting a bunch of bounce backs. And you can preview your contest.
So is this operating independent of Facebook, the entire contest?
Yes, but like I said, with a click, it does use a Facebook app we wrote that will install it into your Facebook page. And so one question she had earlier is, right now, all of the redirect links, like when someone shares, actually go to a page outside of Facebook, because that's what's responsive. But we will be offering an ability to keep everything running only back to Facebook. The way we approached it at first was that Facebook was one of many options to get the word out about your contest, and a good place for people to stumble upon it, since you do get traffic to your Facebook page. But the idea was that your core campaign lived outside of that, so that if you were driving traffic to it from your blog or whatever, you wouldn't have to go to Facebook, was the original idea. Hold on. When I selected that, I forgot to actually pick the other stuff. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and enable the contest. So here it's connected to my Facebook, so I'll put it in this one. Did you guys watch the inauguration in the US at all? Chick with a hair flag? Anyway, I'll say when a ticket, and here you can enable the like gate or not. If you do enable the like gate, you can upload your own image. You can add text or any variation thereof. So I'll go ahead and save Facebook options. And so now over here, I can just click, boom, install into Facebook. And so now I have a Facebook URL. That your contest shows up under. So, and as you can see here, it's probably kind of light because of the screen. We automatically insert the Facebook legal release. We automatically add a privacy policy for you, so it's compliant with ads. So if you're doing media buys. And obviously I kind of blew through the rules, but right there, you have some base rules generated for you. So, even up here on stage in a couple minutes, you can create a contest, at which point when someone does enter, so I'll just show you what that flow looks like. So, oh, sure. So as you can see right here, it was just like something I made as a joke, but it automatically inserts as a tab for you, saying, win a ticket or whatever text you put in there. We put a nicely designed image in there for you with the Facebook font, and it's pretty much that simple to get into Facebook. So let's just do a test. And of course, I didn't go set up the double opt-in, right, for MailChimp, and so here, as you can see, it says I've now earned one unconfirmed entry because I haven't clicked the confirm link. Tells you what I can win by sharing. Down here in the sponsors, since I only entered one sponsor, shows his page, his Twitter account, and then whatever message I would have customized, which of course I didn't actually customize it, when you click would then show up with my unique link already placed in. So really incredibly low friction, really easy to install. That was the main goal. Does that answer it for you? Cool. So just since we did do all that, I do want to show you guys what we're working on. So this is like a demonstration on one of the new template layouts we're doing. We're coming out with quite a few of these. In my mind is more attractive. But of course you can pick because the other ones are battle tested across, was it last month we did 300,000 visits across our network. So, and the average is still 45% conversion rate. I expect this one to do better just from internal testing we've done. But same idea. And let me open up where that form flow that I just showed you that was, like do this and this and this, and then finally you see it. We're building what I call the visual builder. So this will be the new interface to replace everything I just showed you in about a week. And so you'll get to see a live preview of your contest throughout every step of the way. And you'll be able to customize the entrance page and the success page. You have a list of everything you can edit on the left, but on the right-hand side, you'll also be able to just hover your mouse, and if you hover over the headline and click, editable hover card comes down, lets you pick font, color, weight, spacing, all of that, save it, it goes away, you can see your update live. All of them will have video tutorials as well, so the top of the page will expand down, and we did it this way instead of in a modal, so that you can play and watch what you're supposed to do, pause it, scroll down the page, edit it, come back, make sure you're following along. So that's essentially what's coming in about a week. Any other questions?
How do you choose the winners? Just the same kind of thing we've been hearing all weekend?
Great question. I'm not a fan of the fishbowl method myself. So I'll show you an example. More than one prize? Okay, sure. So it remembered I was here, so it redirected me. I'll actually log into a different account. And the conversion rates are going to look relatively low on this, but keep in mind, because it's a demo account, most people look at it just to see what the page looks like, which is very different behavior than I actually want to win. So I'll show you this example. This was John's. And so under winners, as you can see here, when the contest ends, you're not allowed to pick the winner until the end of the contest. But you click pick winners, and if you said 5 winners or 3 or however many there are, it will pick all of them at the same time in an order. And it'll show you their picture, their email, when they entered, and how many entries they have. And if for any reason, any of your winners and or all of them shouldn't have won, if your rules said Canada only, US only, have to be opted in, there's a number of reasons why someone might not actually be eligible even though they won. You can just click disqualify and replace. It will then no longer allow that person to win in the future, and using the same weighted lottery system it did to pick before, it'll pick a new winner for you. So it's especially helpful for live webinars, for instance. So you just hit a button, picks the winner if the time's expired on the contest, and if they're not there, sorry, click next. So.
Have you found, is there an ideal contest link?
It really depends on how long you're going to promote it. If you're just doing it to your own email list, I wouldn't go longer than 30 days personally, just because then you're like, okay, yeah, I already entered that. Like, now what? But if you're running an ad campaign to it, of course, you're going to be seeing a lot more fresh faces. And also keep in mind that the end of a contest is actually a great opportunity for scarcity. So, hey, there's 48 hours left to enter. Make sure if you want to increase your chances, this is the time to do it, because it's not false scarcity, it's true scarcity. When it ends, and that's their opportunity. So
you're saying in 2 weeks the platform's changing?
in 2 weeks, it will be getting easier.
So we wait until you don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'll make sure that you guys have the opportunity to get in before, irrespective to when we launch that. So, go ahead. If there's any more questions?
How do we get like you say, we have subscription to this for the next 2 months?
It'll be 3 months.
Yeah, actually, I'll answer that question because it leads into something else on the platform. If you registered for this workshop and someone else, or how do I say, if you didn't enter your name and email address when you registered for the workshop, that means I don't have your email address, and so that means I can't give you the links to get all this free stuff that you guys are going to be getting. So Kayla, if you just want to put your hand up or just stand up, you guys see Kayla. She is a spreadsheet creative. So when you register for the workshop, you know how you have to enter your name and email address, you may have bought a ticket for a business partner, that sort of thing. So if you're the person who did not enter your name and email address, go and see Kayla, and she's got a spreadsheet she's creating, and I'll put you guys all on the list, so that way you can get my slides, you get 3 months free of Wishpond, you get 3 months free of contest domination, and you get Nick Unsworth's Triple Your Fans program as well. Does that sound good?
Yeah, for example, if you have constant contact, which doesn't sound like it's integrated, you basically store all the emails and you can download it as a CSV or something like that too?
Yeah, so everything exports as a CSV, that's correct. I know this sounds like the common tune, but I have a bunch of developers working on this, and everything's kind of coming to a head at the same time. Inside of a couple weeks, you're going to have constant contact integration native over API. All of the ones that say coming soon, Chartbeat's actually already done. I just haven't changed it on the sales page. But all of those 4 integrations that say coming soon, if any of those are your providers, in addition to these guys right there, will all be live for sure by the end of February, absolutely, and most likely much sooner.
I'm curious about call loops. Call loops automated dialing, or automated, well, not automated, but basically it's an SMS and phone system. So if you guys integrate, I'm kind of curious on how does someone, what was the logic behind that? How would someone run a contest that's associated with a phone number?
So right now, the integration with Call Loop, the way they have it currently, is for you to add a custom field asking for the phone number when someone's manually entering the contest, so that our system hands off the email to Aweber or whoever you're using. It hands off the SMS number to Call Loop so that it's added to a list for there. But we're actually working with them and their new API so that sometime this summer you'll be able to actually enter a contest via text that then sends them back through our viral flow, and to my knowledge will be the first viral SMS contest ever. So
you guys get to see why I was saying this is the best app that's ever created for Facebook? Yeah. Okay. All right. All right, let's give a hand for Travis.
thanks, guys.